Well, greetings, friends. Welcome to another edition of Conversations in Focus. This is Brian Hudson. Look forward to another conversation today here on the Vision Streams Network. This program is offered to bring you people that I believe have a lot to say and are doing much in our community and the world. And my guest today is Pastor Thomas Hill. Welcome, Thomas.
It's good to be with you, my brother.
Thank God for you. Well, Pastor Hill has a significant bio. I won't go through everything, but let me say this. First and foremost, he's a man of God. He is a father. He is a husband and a grandfather. And he has served in the corporate world, worked for IBM for 20 years, left that and didn't stop. He went straight to ministry from IBM and worked for Promise Keepers for 4 years and was responsible in helping these great events take place in different cities. Pastor Hill worked with Eastern Star Church, and Pastor Jeffrey A. Johnson Sr. worked with him for a number of years. In fact, as I see here, Pastor, you've done everything for a number of years. You didn't jump in like a month here and a month there. You've been there. You used to have 20 here, 6 there, 5 there.
I need a break, right?
But thing is, you're a man committed to what you do. And you get in and stay in until the season is fully complete.
And I love it. I love it.
Praise God. Also, I see here that you're currently the pastor of Healing Streams Word and Worship Center. We know it as the Streams here in the city.
That's right, the Streams Church.
Yes, sir. And that's at thestreams.org. What a great domain name you've got there. And now, but presently, and this current season, you're working on the next edition of the Passion Play, Upon This Rock.
Yeah.
Let's just start right there. Let's talk about this year's Passion Play. What is Upon This Rock? For those who don't know, and there's some who don't even know about this, talk about the Passion Play, Upon This Rock.
Pastor Hudson, we are, believe it or not, at 34 years. This is our 34th year with the Passion Play production. 34 years ago, this play, which was created by my sister Sharon Thompson Hill, and I just came alongside and was helping her with the play. And it was performed at a local church in the city of Indianapolis. And I said, you know what? I will be the spotlight guy. So I was up in the balcony holding the spotlight. And the first time that I had even witnessed any of the production. And while I'm holding the spotlight, doing my spotlight duties, the emotions that came over me, the tears that came down my face as I witnessed the unfolding story of Christ being depicted. And after that, I said, Sharon, we've got to do something with this. The world needs to see this. So 34 years later, we're at Pike Performing Arts Center. Every Easter weekend, 3 performances, over 300 cast and volunteers that put it on, over 70-plus members from over 70-plus churches around the city and outlying areas that put on this production. And it's more than a play. It's an experience. And so we're excited that this Easter weekend, Good Friday and Saturday, our 34th year production, we've got a special guest artist, Tasha Page Lockhart. She was the Sunday Best winner in the 6th season. An awesome woman of God and singer with a great testimony, by the way, of where God has brought her from. And I know you're going to feel that, the anointing from that at the Passion Play this year.
You know, you've used words to describe this thing as best you can use words. But let me say, I was there last year, and words just do not do it service. Now, I've been showing, as you've been speaking, I showed some images, some still images. We're going to stop and watch a trailer in a moment. But I want to encourage you to go to utrpro.com. That's correct, utrpro.com.
That's it.
And you want to learn about this Passion Play, see some of the pictures there, but mainly you want to purchase tickets while you can.
Amen.
Okay? Because it tells out. And it's an experience. It's a passion play. And it's just the most amazing thing we have in this city. It relates to the gospel, to Christ, to the story of his life given for us and resurrection from the dead. And besides that, it's an outstanding production. I mean, from a technical standpoint, musically, technically, even with some special effects going on.
Right.
Y'all add stuff. You add every year there's something new. And so let me just say to you, March 30 and 31, is that correct?
That's it.
All right. You want to go to utrpro.com com. And I'm saying it because I believe in this, not just because Pastor Hill is a friend and a great man of God here in the city, but you should bring somebody with you. You need to let people see the story of Jesus Christ illustrated right there on the stage before you. All right, let's stop now. Let's pause and watch this trailer for Upon This Rock 2018.
The Lord is in from heaven. The Lord is in from heaven. The Lord is in from heaven.
I am the resurrection and the life. Roll away the stone. Come forth.
Only Jesus can set me.
Anybody been freed out there?
Only Jesus can set me.
Can Jesus do it?
Only Jesus can set me.
Only Jesus.
Only Jesus.
Come on in.
Only Jesus.
That brief trailer gave you a glimpse of what to expect at Upon This Rock Passion Play. So, Pastor Hill, give us more details about where it's taking place and how we can purchase tickets.
Well, the performance is held at the Pike Performing Arts Center, 6701 Zionsville Road, Indianapolis. You can purchase tickets online. In fact, don't go to Pike. You purchase your tickets online, pay for it, print it off, bring the ticket with you. You can always call if you need some assistance in ordering, and there's a live person that can help you order tickets by calling 317-285-0551, 285-0551, area code 317, and they can help you order those tickets. And I want to let you know this, that a lot of individuals in Indianapolis aren't aware that we have buses that come in from all over to this production every year, as far away as Buffalo, New York. And so they come with an excitement, and they're going back and they're organizing more groups and bringing them because of not a play, but the experience that was generated through the power of the cross, the presence of Holy Spirit that takes place. Now, this isn't like a number of other passion plays because we don't mind having church. And so you're going to come and have a wonderful good time. And I'm looking for you to come because I get to play the role of Simon Peter. I've been Simon Peter, Pastor, for a number of years, and there are pyrotechnics that takes place. There's a lot of things that
Yes, it is.
It's really indescribable. It's one of those things you have to come and witness for yourself. So hopefully on March 30th and 31st, Good Friday and Saturday, that you purchase your ticket, bring your family, your entire family, and enjoy this great production.
Yes, sir. I echo all those words, and my experience last year, the lighting, the music, the sound. Of course, the venue is beautiful as far as listening and the experience of hearing it. And as an artist and photographer and videographer and art, I just love all of that. Everything about the play, from the spiritual context to the technical context, is excellent. It's all the way live in the truest sense of the word. So again, we want to encourage you and impress upon you that this is a great and marvelous event. Now, you're seeing below him and me, say it again, you see on the screen below us the information, the website, the phone number, how you can obtain tickets. So please avail yourself of the information, log on, call, and be sure not to miss this year's Passion Play Upon This Rock. Next question, Pastor, let me ask you about arts in general. Your family is deeply involved in performing arts, and talk to us about how you started in performing arts and why it's important to you today.
Well, it's performing arts is one of those things you're born with. Some things can be taught, but then some other things are just simply caught. And that's been a part of our family heritage. Sharon, my sister, who was a creator of Upon This Rock, when we were just children, she would always create and write these little plays out. We call them cheesy little plays back then as kids. But she would write out these plays, and then she would bring us all together, give us different parts, the roles that we're going to play, and there in our home, in our pajamas, we're role playing all of these parts. And so this has been a part of her for some time. I was a part of a group called the Pentecostal Ambassadors. We recorded several albums, traveled around. And so gospel music has always been a part of me, writing music as well. So being able to bring her talent of the creative part of writing and directing, and then me incorporating the music, and you know, God has certainly blessed me to be able to write several songs within the Upon This Rock production, and it just blesses us to see how God can take what He's gifted you with, and we give it back to Him, and then to be able to sit back and watch it played out, and knowing that God's getting the glory for it. So that's been exciting.
Now, let me ask you this then. Were your parents involved in arts, performing arts or otherwise? I mean, I know God did it, but who are your influences?
That's a good question. That's a good question, because my parents weren't really actively involved in the arts. My dad sang. He was a singer. He was a preacher. So I know that's where some of that gifting come from. My mother was very articulate, but with our upbringing, you know, keep in mind they were raising 7 kids. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there were a lot of things in them that they wish that they could have had the time to do, but weren't able to do. But through their children, they were able to see some of the giftings that were in them that they weren't able to express, to be expressed through their children.
That's my experience as well. My parents, my mom is artistic, dad, well, they're both singers, musicians. In fact, my mother's mother, Essie Hayden, was a renowned musician here in Indiana. Had on a radio show back in the 60s and 50s and all
wow.
that. And so, but my parents, you know, working, trying to make it, trying to survive, and didn't get a chance to express fully their gifting. So God gave me, you know, not singing. I missed that. That bypassed me. But I got the other part, the artistic part. So legacy is wonderful. And so passing it on is also important. Now let's talk about a young man named Kyle Guyton, you know, who passed away, and you've established a scholarship in his name. And of course, he was connected with arts, performing arts. Talk about his story and why his story and his tragic death has led you to help others in this regard.
I tell you, this is always a sensitive thing to me, because Kyle was such a brilliant young man. He was one of those young men that you just have to stop and take a second look at and say, where did all this come from? But Kyle came to us when he was, I think, 14 years old with Upon This Rock. His mom brought him to Upon This Rock, and he got involved. Very intense and focused young man. And he got more and more involved with the stage and technical and working behind the scenes, and the creativity that he had with ideas and so forth. I saw him just moving and working his way up. I could see him as a film director and the like, and so he had so much into him and talent. He went away to school. He was a part of Bishop Chittard through his high school years, went away to college to Indiana State, came back. Chittard brought him on as the performing arts teacher and over that department, actually. And so he came in just in a few short months. We had just finished one of our Passion Play productions, and he was making plans to go to Europe and taking a group of his students with him, and he did so, and was so excited. First time out of the country for him, and while he was there, unfortunately, had taken sick and passed away, never returning back home, and it was a blow. Those kind of questions we ask Pastor Hudson is, you know, how could something so valuable be taken so early? And those are those lingering questions that oftentimes only God knows, and you got to leave it with Him. But what we decided to do was to continue his legacy, as young as he was, but what he contributed thus far, that we wanted to continue that. So the 3 organizations, Upon This Rock, Bishop Chittard, as well as Grace Apostolic Church, where he was a member, formed a board, and we decided that we would put together a memorial scholarship fund for those that are interested in the performing arts. And so this is our second one that's coming up now, our second annual scholarship fundraiser dinner that's taking place on March the 10th. And last year we awarded 3 worthy students scholarships for the arts of $3,000 apiece. And we were looking to do even more this year. We will never forget Kyle Guyton.
Yeah, that's that remarkable story, and God brings beauty from ashes, and so you're taking his memory and and infusing his work with other young people.
Absolutely.
And passing on that legacy of performing arts and helping other people experience the grace of God through performing arts. So thank you for that work, Pastor, and we appreciate that. I support this scholarship fund. I encourage you to support the scholarship fund. On the screen below, information how you can get involved with the Kyle Guyton Memorial Scholarship Fund. And it's a worthy cause. I can't imagine what better way to remember him than by helping other young people find the arts and become performing arts technicians or performing artists themselves.
Yes.
And be a part of the experience. So thank you so much, Pastor, for doing that. Really appreciate that. In fact, on behalf of all of us in the city, we thank you, sir, for your work with not only Upon This Rock, but your pastoral work, your work with men, your work with young people. So we want to thank you, Pastor Hill, for
Bless
being
you.
a blessing in our city.
Bless you.
God bless you. We are aware of a term we call drive-by shootings. We know what that means. But this term drive-by vigil, what does that mean? What is it that you're doing called drive-by vigil?
Our drive-by prayer vigils was a vision that God gave us in August of 2006. At that particular point in time in the city of Indianapolis, the homicides were at its height. I mean, it was so crazy that Sunday morning I woke up and I read the headlines of the paper in big, huge, bold print. "We are at war!" ! And in the article, there was a conversation between the then mayor and the sheriff talking about this problem that we were having in our city with homicides and the rising rate of homicides. And the sheriff said, "We've got to do something different." When I read that line, it hit me. The Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, "Do something different." And I remember just taking that paper and going to our church that Sunday morning and sharing with our congregation the dilemma, the problem. And I told them this: God said, it's time for us to do something different. We're going to respond to this. And out of that birthed the Drive-By Prayer Vigil ministry. Minister Paul Bateman, who was a councilman at the time and a member of our congregation, and we put our heads together and we began to create this organization called Drive-By Prayer. And our motto was, if drive-by guns can kill, then drive-by prayers can heal. And so we were determined that we were going to meet with families of homicide victims in the place where the homicide took place and pray with them, pray healing into their families. And this is an opportunity for us not only to pray, but to reach out to them and let them know, the Lord said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. And there's no use of you either getting killed or being locked up in prison for the rest of your life, because there's something valuable in you. So this vigil has been going on since 2006 in the city of Indianapolis. And in fact, Pastor, we have added to that what we call preemptive prayer strikes. And on Friday, there's a preemptive prayer strike team that goes out in a drive-by van. And those of you who've seen that drive-by van, amen, it's very obvious with the horns on the top and amen. And they go into the troubled areas of Indianapolis and begin to just release the power of prayer throughout the community. And people are running up and just embracing and welcoming and saying, so thank you for thinking about our neighborhood and community. So in a nutshell, that's what Drive-By Prayer is all about.
Yes, that's wonderful. In fact, I'm kind of anticipating people's response to what you just said. Now, a skeptic will say, yeah, but there's still murder going on. What you understand is it would be far, far worse.
Yes, sir.
if it were not for prayer and for people reaching out to other people and to help stem that tide of retaliation. That cycle is even worse than murder is bad.
Crazy. Yeah.
But retaliation, multiplies that tragedy. So again, these are efforts that that Pastor Hill's doing. Many are doing their different works in different ways in the city, across the city. And believe me, yes, murder is still a problem, will always be a problem in a sick and dangerous and sinful world. But I promise you, it'd be much worse if believers weren't praying and preaching the gospel and being active in the streets. Again, thank you, Pastor Hill. Once again, we thank you. Performing arts, and arts is my passion of mine as well. We've done media camps for 19 years, teaching kids how to do video production, photography. And so it's been my passion to help young folk get a hold to those skills and tap their God-given abilities. What can we as the church do more to encourage young people in performing arts, visual arts, all manner of arts?
I'm glad you brought that up, because that has certainly been a burden that's been on myself and also with Sharon as the executive director of Up on This Rock. We've been speaking about our generation, the present generation, the generations that is forthcoming, what's going to happen to them. I just shared with them, our leaders, pastor at our church, an article that someone sent me, another pastor sent me, on Gen Z, Generation Z. That's now the next step beyond the millennials. Yes. Out of his study, there was so much that was in that study, but one thing that stuck out to me than everything else was that this Gen Z, this Generation Z, there will be more atheists in it than in any other generation. Right. That they're the ones that, the intellectual, they're the ones that's going to be more science bent. And if we don't get to this generation and impart into them the truth that we know are life-giving, that's also going to prepare us for the life to come, then we're going to miss a generation. And there's so many ways that we can reach them. Jesus said, when he called his disciples, he said, "Come follow me. I'm going to make you fishers of men." Well, we understand that for anybody that's a decent fisherman or knows how to fish, then you got to have the right equipment. And with this generation that is upon us and the present generation we're dealing with now, we can't use the old equipment, and the old bait don't work. We got to come up with new and new ways of reaching them, and that's why I'm so appreciative of you and how God has allowed you to take technology and use it in a way to reach out further, because that's where our kids are right now. They're in the technological world. They live there, and if we don't get in there to get them, we're going to miss it.
Right.
I remember a minister said some years ago, the flannel board ministry is over. They're not doing flannel board anymore. So we got to bring it up to date into the contemporary world in order to reach contemporary people. And one of the things that Sharon and I had talked about, in fact, we were starting to promote that last year, is a youth camp to bring young people in and just teach them the craft of arts and performing arts and music and the like. And when you mentioned that, even about technology, what a wonderful platform to bring them in to learn more about. I mean, you got little babies that are taking iPhones and they know the right buttons to push. Yes. So we have got to use what they are already using in order to reach them. And I pray I can just even see with what you're doing, what we're doing, and what some others are doing. What if we just brought this together? The Lord has given us is this dream of our own performing arts center. We've been using the Pike Performing Arts Center. We've been using Clues Hall and the like for what? 34 years. Now, I think it's about time that we have our own performing arts center, and within that is not just for the performance alone, but for training and equipping that's going to take their attention away from the things that the world is giving them that are self-destructive and bring them into things that are more spiritually productive and give them longevity in their life. So when you just hit on something, you hit a chord there, you're messing with me alone now. You don't want to go there. But that's one of the things we want to promote this year at Upon This Rock, to launch that vision out and pray that somebody's going to catch it. Somebody has a similar heart and says, I want to get in on that. Let's get started.
That's why I asked the question. I knew it would stir something in you. I have the same feeling inside of me. And again, what the church can do is be the church that God has
Come
ordained
on.
and raised up in the earth. And that thank God for our services and preaching, teachings, all that's fundamental. But we've been called to reach into all the world.
Come on.
Into every mountain, 7 mountains theory,
Come on.
entertainment and business and all
Right.
that.
You preaching that.
Now, all of us can't do it, but some of us can.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm in, brother. Whatever,
Yeah,
whatever God says, I'm in.
everybody has their piece. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes.
Everybody brings something to the table and that's the beauty of the body of Christ.
Yes, sir.
Because of our diversity. God designed us on purpose. That He didn't give everybody everything, but He distributed the gifts through grace to individuals. But His purpose has always been that the body comes together, not fragmented, but come together and bring
Yes.
all those pieces together.
Yes.
And that's when we accomplish something.
Yes.
That's when things get done. So that's my dream and vision
Yes,
while I
sir.
still have a few years left on the planet.
Now, sir, what you shared right there is so exciting to me because I know this is part of what God is doing. Everybody now, kids and people are into screens now, some kind of screen, either
There it
the
is.
computer screen, mobile phone screen, HDTV screen.
Right.
We're into screens everywhere. And, Jesus said we go into all the world. There's also the virtual world. Now, this will blow your mind, Pastor. I went to a demo at IUPUI. They have a room it's called a virtual cave. And all the walls and floors are green for a green screen.
Wow.
I went in there. They put some goggles on me. Virtual reality, VR. Okay. And I put these goggles on, and they put me inside of a castle.
Wow.
Everywhere I turned, I saw doors and entrances and
Amazing.
windows. I saw creatures. And here's the funny part. Here's the crazy part. That in front of me was a cliff. I walked to the cliff and I refused to take one more
Come
step.
on.
I know there was nothing there but a floor.
Right.
But in my brain
It was real.
said, don't take one more step. Now, Pastor, kids are in these virtual worlds.
They are.
There's two things. There's VR and AR. Now, VR is virtual, meaning you got goggles on, all you see is the goggles. But the newest thing is augmented reality. You got glasses on, you're seeing your world through the glasses, and they're superimposing images and objects in your world.
Wow.
So in front of you is somebody else. These tools, I believe, are given to the church, to God's
Yeah.
kingdom. I mean, people in the world did it, but I believe God has given us access to these
Right.
tools to find some way to use these tools and mainly the skill behind using tools to be able to impact our world in a positive manner and reach people where they are.
Well, if we don't stop and look and listen and see where the fish are going, they're swimming upstream. Who are you ministering downstream? We can, in the kingdom, impact this generation without compromise, mind you, because some people would say, "Oh, you're compromising." No, there's a line there. I believe there's a line there that is no compromise, but at the same time, it's effective in ministry. That you can still use what is attracting them
Yes.
in order to draw them in, because our ultimate goal is discipleship. You got to get the fish out first so that you can begin to impart into them. Man, we've got to change this whole paradigm shift that has taken place. We cannot afford to miss it, or we're going to lose a generation. Oh, I feel this. I just
Yes,
feel
sir.
strong.
I'm with you, Doc. And then on top of that, of course, performing arts. There's no screens involved, see? So we
Right.
have to also learn how to connect with people, develop ourselves. Technology is wonderful as an enabler, but ultimately, what can you do?
Right.
With your voice,
Right.
with your hand, with your mind.
They're looking at the stage.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, you got platforms, the stage. These youth are going to concerts. They're going to these productions because they like it's. Even on the screen now, they're reproducing the production set. I believe, even in Indianapolis, that we have everything we need in order to go fishing
Yes, sir.
and to reach this generation for Christ in a unique way.
Wow, this is remarkable. So now for the sake of the people watching, we got to stop because we're going to get into shop talk a little bit. But I want to inspire you who are listening to understand our passion is not just what we do, it's a vision to uplift people.
Yes.
And to inspire young people to use giftings God's put inside of them and gifts that is right brain, left brain, which means analytical, artistic. We have to service people where God has blessed them. Analytics is important. Academics are vitally important. But we forget the other side of the person, which is their artistic, creative side. And I believe to ignore that part of a person is to miss
It's good.
the person's destiny.
Who they are.
You know, missing what God has placed in them that we're called as a church, uniquely called to help bring out, identify, and help bring out of people. So that's
good
yes, sir.
stuff.
I'm with you, Doc.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
with you 100% on this thing. So we'll talk more about this. All right. All right. Well, we've been speaking with Pastor Thomas Hill from the Healing Streams Word and Worship Center, also managing. What's your title at UTR?
Co and managing director.
Co and managing director of the Upon This Rock Passion Play and Upon This Rock Productions. And I want you again to remember that we began talking about the Passion Play coming up on Easter weekend, March 30 and 31. And again, information on the screen below us here. You want to call, visit the website, get your ticket, and don't miss this experience. It is truly an amazing, awesome experience. And hey, and buy 2 tickets. Bring somebody with you.
There you go.
Okay? Bring somebody.
Bring
with
a group.
Bring a group. Yes,
Right.
sir. You mentioned about the buses earlier. I was going to say this. When we came last year, my wife and I, we parked the car and began walking to the Pike Performing Arts Center, and we encountered these line of buses. I mean, these motor coaches. These high class, high end motor coaches lined up. I mean, end to end, what seemed like a couple of blocks on the parking lot. I mean, license plates from all the central areas of our country. So it seemed like you're experiencing somewhat what Jesus said, the prophet has more honor
Come on.
outside of his own family and country.
You're hitting on something there.
So we in India got to take care of Pastor Hill and all the team because this Passion Play is a treasure. I forget the stat, but the oldest running, I think there's some stat about how long you've been doing this and
Yeah,
where it stands and among similar Passion Plays. What's
One of the
stat?
longest running African American led produced Passion Play in the nation.
That's what I heard. Well, Pastor, I'm going to wrap up the conversation now. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to ask you, finally, you want to share anything with our viewers and listeners in conclusion?
Well, it's been a joy being with you, and it's always a joy and excitement to be able to share the vision of what God has certainly placed within us and what God is doing. And I just encourage you to be prayerful with us as we continue this journey. Something's happening, and God is preparing this next generation. One of the things that passion that's burning on my heart is that we get on board, that we don't miss it. And maybe you that are listening or watching, you've got a burning passion in you. Maybe that performing arts passion is in you, and you never got a chance to utilize it or to express it. Upon This Rock Productions is a wonderful place for you to do that, and I want to encourage you to give us a call. You go online to our website, utrpro.com, utrpro.com, and you can send us a note and say, look, I'm interested. I want to be a part. I want to be a cast member. I want to work behind the scenes. I want to sing in the choir. I want to be a part of this vision of a performing arts center and the outreach for youth, whatever it is. We got so many different areas that you can be a part of. In fact, I know it's been 34 years, but we're at ground floor for what God is about to do. And I encourage you to come and join us and be a part.
Well, thank you. You've been listening to a conversation with Pastor Thomas Hill. And I appreciate his work, his legacy, his family here in the city of Indianapolis. And the church, Healing Streams Church, and the Passion Play are just I should mention also, and the drive-by prayer vigil are just some of what God's doing through this man of God, through his family. So pray for him, support him, and be a part of whatever he's doing.
Thank you.
I certainly am. Okay?
Bless you, sir.
I'm making my point to be a part of what he's doing. So God bless you. I trust you enjoyed this conversation and focus here on Vision Stream Network, and we'll see you next time. God bless.